Santiago,
No, Rita's not on. Next up is approval of minutes. Anybody have any comments on the minutes from November 18?
I have none.
I have none. I wasn't here, so I will not comment.
Seeing,
Make a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes.
Oh, okay, I'll make the motion. We approve the minutes if we can do that without the.
no, it's fine.
Made the motion, Bill.
Bill,
Made
you
the motion.
want a
I'll
second?
second the motion.
Bruce made the motion and Bill seconded approval of minutes. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. Next up is citizen input. This is input from citizens for anything not on the agenda tonight. Are there any citizens that would like to comment? Anybody online?
No.
No comment. He said no.
Oh,
With that, we move on to new business. Docket SB 1-21. DL Consulting, Inc. is requesting approval of a tentative subdivision plat approval to subdivide approximately 1 acre of land located northwest of the Northeast Kale and North Road intersection, further described as Columbia County Assessor Map numbers 3212 AD 06100 to create 8 lots in the manufactured housing zoning district. Will be a limited land use decision that do not require verbal testimony. Only written comments will be accepted. I am calling this public meeting to order to consider an application for a subdivision. Testimony and evidence must address the criteria that apply to the decision as described in the staff report or to the criteria the person testifying believes to apply to the decision. Limited land use decisions do not take verbal public testimony because they do not require interpretation or the exercise of policy or legal judgment. Any written comments shall be included in the record. Only the staff, the applicant, and the planning commission will have an opportunity to speak. Does any planning commission member wish to declare any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest regarding this matter? All right. Does any party wish to challenge any commissioner's impartiality or legal capacity to participate in this matter? All right, hearing none, the order of the hearing shall be the staff report, and the applicant's presentation, then a staff response. Thereafter, the hearing will be closed for consideration of the matter by the commission. The decision of the planning commission can be appealed to the city council. To that, staff report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, planning commissioners, for being here this evening. Thank you for your service. We do appreciate it. All right, as usual, I will start out with the observations at the beginning of the report. Then I'll point out where the relevant approval criteria and findings can be found, and then we'll go over the staff recommendation and conditions of approval. Starting on page 8, the subject site is approximately 1 acre. The site is designated manufactured housing on the comp plan map and is zoned manufactured housing. Adjacent zoning is manufactured housing to the west and south. Columbia County Manufactured Housing Residential to the north, and Columbia County Single Family Residential R10 to the east. All adjacent parcels are in residential use. The property consists of one legal lot of record. It's currently addressed as 52533 North Road. There's an existing manufactured home, a few outbuildings, pump house, some trees. The narrative states that the existing manufactured house would be moved to Lot 8 and the remaining structures would be removed from the property. This property does not have any wetlands or floodplain. Under proposed subdivision, street improvements, and right-of-way dedication, the applicant requests approval of an application to subdivide the 1 acre lot into 8 residential lots ranging in size from 3,705 square feet to 6,640 square feet. 2 of the lots, lots 1 and 8, would support detached single-family homes, and the remaining lots, lots 2 through 7, would support attached single-family homes, referred to as townhomes in the Scappoose Development Code. The lots would have frontage on 3 public streets: Northeast Kale Street, Northeast Dease Way, and North Road. The proposed subdivision abuts 2 previously platted subdivisions, Heritage Farm subdivision, which is located to the west, and Unger, which is located south of Kale Street. For Northeast Dease Way, the applicant is proposing to dedicate right-of-way along the western property boundary. That would bring the total width of Dease Way to 54 feet, and to construct Dease Way to a local street standard, including 32 feet of paving, curb and gutter, sidewalks, streetlights, and street trees. The alignment of Dease Way would follow existing pattern of lot lines established by Heritage Farm subdivision, and then also previously platted subdivisions further north. And then that would eventually in the future tie into Aaron Drive to the north as the properties develop. The Heritage Farm subdivision, which was file SB 206, it did previously dedicate right-of-way for Dease Way to be established. However, they did not do their street improvements. Instead, the city accepted a cash in lieu of finishing the street. The amount that was deposited with the city totaled $17,620. That would be released to the applicant once a notice to proceed for construction is issued. For Northeast Kale Street, the applicant proposes to dedicate right-of-way along the southern boundary to bring the total width of Kale Street right-of-way to 50 feet and to construct Northeast Kale Street to a local street standard. That's going to include an additional 11.5 feet of paving, curb, gutter, sidewalks, street lights, and street trees. Local streets typically have a 54-foot right-of-way, but the existing Kale Street has an offset offset right-of-way, so this dedication will bring it to 50 feet. In addition, there's 4.5 feet of existing paving north of center line that would be ground down and repaved to change the existing shed section to a crown section. It has already been set up that way to do that. The last part of that sentence is in relation to the requested change to the conditions of approval. You should have all had a copy here. So I just want to go over that a little bit. So there were 2 requested edits to the conditions of approval by the applicant. That was sent out by email late today. These are conditions of approval 8 and 9. The last part of condition of approval number 8 was asking the applicant to repave Kale Street south of center line where the utility lateral cuts would be made. And the last part of condition of approval number 9 stated that the applicant would provide an additional 12 feet of paving east of center line on North Road. The applicant did state to staff that he considered providing this additional paving for us, but after getting close to complete the work, in addition to the rest of the improvements he's making, he felt that the additional cost might jeopardize the feasibility of the project. Staff discussed the removal of the conditions of approval with the city attorney. He felt it was in the city's best interest to remove the additional paving requirements. These are not requirements in our code. Columbia County did not request the additional paved width to North Road. And the city has the need for the additional 7 housing units that the development will provide. Again, we've talked about this in our training and everything. What we ask for needs to be related to the conditions or to the criteria for approval. Sometimes we do ask for additional items, and sometimes those are given. But if there is a desire not to do those improvements, the city can let those items go. Let's see, back to North Road. Your packets, page 9. The applicant proposes to dedicate right-of-way along the eastern property boundary of the site, which would bring the total width of North Road to 27 feet west of center line, and to construct a half-street improvement, which would include 20 feet of paving west of center line, curb and gutter, sidewalks, street trees, and street lights. Again, we're requesting that to strike that last sentence about the additional 12 feet of paving east of center line. Under traffic impact analysis, the applicant submitted a trip generation memo. It's attached as Exhibit 6. The study estimated that the 8-lot development would generate 80 daily trips, 6 of which would be in the morning peak hour, and 8 of which would be during the evening peak hour. The required safety analysis within a quarter mile of the subdivision was performed, including site distance, safety evaluation, street lighting, site circulation, and street connectivity to adjacent parcels. The memo did not identify any needed mitigation. The memo indicated that the intersection of Kale and North Road would have increased site distance after the completion of the project. Under public utility improvements, municipal water is available from an existing 8-inch water main in Kale Street. The applicant proposes to extend an 8-inch water main within Dees Way and North Road right-of-way and install laterals to serve each lot. That can be seen on the sanitary sewer and water plan, which is attached as Exhibit 3J. Likewise, sanitary sewer is available via an existing 8-inch main line in Kale Street. The applicant proposes to extend a sewer line within North Road right-of-way and to install laterals to serve each lot. The applicant has submitted the required preliminary drainage report that's attached as Exhibit 4. The proposals that stormwater from Kale Street will consist of catch basins that'll connect to a sediment manhole and then be directed to an infiltrating rock trench below the Kale Street right-of-way. Stormwater from Northeast Eastway is proposed to discharge to an existing open facility installed within the Heritage Farms subdivision to the west. This facility was sized to handle the runoff from this portion of the street. A dry well within each lot would handle stormwater for each individual lot. Under street trees, Scappoose Development Code does require street trees on all frontages and subdivisions. The applicant has submitted a street tree plan. It's attached as Exhibit 3M. And the applicant is proposing to plant 11 street trees along their project frontage. The conditions of approval require a final street tree planting plan. Sometimes we get those too on just the individual building permits. They'll let us know where they plan to put those. Under public and private agencies and public notice, all required noticing has been met for this application. Agency and staff comments are attached as Exhibits 7 through 12. There were let's see. Typically, we do have a comment from the Scappoose Rural Fire District. I just made a note in here that Chief Jeff Pritcher verbally stated he had no concerns with the application and that he would address any comments during construction document review. So there's no comment from him in here this time. Let's see, we did receive one public comment from Lise Franz that was submitted via email January 5th. I did include her comment in the packet. It is Exhibit 13. There is a staff response included as well that outlines our responses to her concerns. We did receive a second comment January 11th. And I'm going to read that into the record because it came in within the public comment period, but after the staff report was finalized. It says, "Dear Miss Oliver Joseph, thank you for allowing us to submit written comments. We are not opposed to the development. We just have some concerns we would like to address. Our two properties are adjacent to the north of the proposed development. We are wondering what will happen with the chain link fence between our properties and the proposed subdivision. We, Dan and Susan Reeves, prefer chain link with slats if possible. If a wood fence is installed and we end up having to cover the cost of repair or replacement, that is a large expense that we don't want to incur. There are several large trees on the proposed subdivision site, and if they are going to be removed, we are hoping to get notified prior, just as a safety concern. In addition, we would like to discuss removal of trees and shrubs that are along the property line. We are hoping the contractor will communicate with us throughout the development. We are willing to provide our cell numbers if needed. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Dan and Susan Reeves, 52559 North Road, and Paul and Laura Dietrich, 52561 North Road." We didn't provide a staff response in the email that went out with this or in the packet. These are items that are not concerning any approval criteria. These are residential to residential uses, so there's no buffering or screening required. And so we would just ask that the developer work with the neighboring property owners about their concerns. All right, so let me tell you where you can find the approval criteria and findings. For the right-of-way dedications and improvements, that can be found in section 1701.060. I have findings on page 10. For the manufactured housing zoning district, the criteria are in chapter 17.15, or I'm sorry, 17.54. Findings are on pages 10 through 12. Criteria related to street trees are found in chapter 17.104. Findings to that chapter are on pages 12 through 13. Subdivision criteria are found in chapter 17.150. The findings are on pages 13 through 15. Street and utility improvement standards are found in chapter 17.154. The findings are on pages 15 through 23. Procedures for limited land use are found in chapter 17.164. Findings are on page 23. And if you want to turn to page 23, we do have the staff recommendation, which is for approval of docket SB 1-21. And that would be based on the findings of facts and the materials submitted by the applicant. Staff does recommend approval. We do have the conditions of approval here. There are 30. They are most of them very boilerplate related to all of our subdivisions, just requiring that they meet our code. The specific ones, again, we went over earlier, were conditions 8 and 9. Again, you can see on the handout that you have, essentially it's the end of both of those that we are hoping the Planning Commission will consider striking. Again, they weren't related to specific code criteria. They were extra asks, and it just didn't work out to have that included in the project. So I'm happy to answer any questions. You can go to the applicant's presentation.
I have a question
Sure.
for you. I'm a visual person, so if you could help walk me through on the map where we're talking about the items to be removed that
Sure.
were asked?
Well, you're not gonna, yeah, let's see it. Let me turn to page. Chrissy,
C3?
wanna talk through it?
Is it C3?
See, let's do 4.2. 4.2 shows north. Let's start with North Road.
I'm sorry, which number? 3?
Do C2. Let's try C2. Sheet C2.
Got it.
C2.
Did you wanna
Sure,
talk through
starting,
it?
starting on the right-hand side of the page,
Am I looking
Lower.
at Kale Street?
the lower right-hand side, that's Kale Street. See a dimension that's 12 feet on the east side of the street.
That's North Road,
Sorry, that's North Road, yeah.
all the way on the right.
Are you able to point it to me or put it up on the screen and use a cursor or something to show me?
I can point it. I
I'd
can,
love that. Thank you. I am very much a visual person.
Actually, I had the same question.
That's the one.
Liz, can you put it on the screen or not?
I don't think we have the technology to put that on the screen interactively that way.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's just to talk through this really quick on Kale Street. It's a north-south street at the lower right-hand corner of the page on sheet
C3.
C2. See kind of a lighter hatch, the east side of the center line. But what dimension that was not required by our code, nor was it required by the county. So that was eliminated.
North Road is under the jurisdiction of the county. They didn't require this, so we can't require it either.
So that means there will be no paving. It'll,
There,
There's paving there now.
Yeah.
This was an additional overlay.
okay.
there's about a 10 to 12 foot travel lane east of,
Yeah, there's existing road there now. Just that this was to sort of add an overlay to it,
Make it consistent.
make it.
So is there going to be a big,
No, it'll still
Difference in
match
the-
up. It just
okay.
won't be
brand new.
ground down and
Got it.
repaved
okay,
with the rest of the project.
okay. Thank you.
Then on Northeast Kale Street, which is the center portion of the project there, it's the east-west road. Liz.
I don't know.
There's it's just behind you there. So it's the south half of the street, approximately 150 feet that was discussed to be found and repaved as street cuts. That requirement is not in our code, but the applicant had early on agreed to it and subsequently decided that it wasn't feasible to do that work. And so for the street cuts, there'll be a more traditional patch. What will be provided.
Can the city just cover the cost and
Well,
complete the ask of what you wanted?
I don't
Can
know.
the
that
city
it's-
pay for that?
I don't know that it's, I mean, it's a brand new road essentially. So, if the cuts were closer together, it would be appropriate to join them into one larger paving than just two individual cuts. But in this case, they're separated by the distance. And so it's sort of an unnecessary cost for anybody to incur.
Right now.
It was early on, it was discussed because we didn't have the benefit of a plan to know how many of the cuts there would be. So, and that requirement came from preliminary meetings without the benefit of final construction documents. So subsequently, when we received plans, it was determined that it wasn't as bad. It was, we imagined it being in our heads. So made more sense to just go to the patches.
Chris, can I ask a question? Friends made comment about the width of the streets and having more room.
Yeah.
It's actually extended the width, but how does it make the travel?
So, yeah, it'll go from, I believe it's about 20 feet wide now, paved width, to 32 feet paved width, which is our standard width for a local street.
No bumps or anything? They'll be able to just.
Correct. Just a standard
Standard.
subdivision, 32 feet of paving street, parking on both sides.
There was no other paving that was removed from the project. Areas. It's a realignment of sorts for the eastway, but I won't resort.
Thank you.
I guess I just want to follow up on that question. For me, it would make more sense, I guess. The reason, I know there's no code, they're not necessarily have to do it, which is okay. But there was a reason why the city staff recommended, and I guess for simpler terms, there's a reason why you guys recommended and why, and then why you recommended those recommendations, and how would that affect them not having it?
Yeah.
The reason that that's recommended, and I'm assuming you're referring to Kale Street.
Well, both. We can address them each.
So Kale
Oh,
Street,
yeah.
the reason it was recommended was because when you have street cuts that are close together, if you don't sort of pave in between them, you get kind of this, it can be kind of a bumpy road track kind of a ride because the cuts don't always match up with the existing asphalt. In this case, after reviewing the construction, the plan set, the more detailed plan set, it was determined that they're far enough apart that really would not be the case. So,
So it will still be bumpy?
no, it's
Just
not
further
the
apart.
case that we'll have close trenches.
Gotcha.
They're 75 feet apart. And the applicant has agreed to consolidate utilities into some of the utilities into common trenches that'll minimize those cuts. So we felt that was a good compromise, repaving. On North Road, the applicant he had recommended or that they include in their review of the project that they would possibly need to pave additionally the additional lane width on North Road, since that had been a request on the previous project to the south. And it made sense that the county would perhaps respond similarly. In this case, they didn't. So this improvement just sort of carried through to the end. The applicant reviewed the feasibility of providing the additional paving and didn't feel like project costs could support that work. Since it wasn't a requirement of the city or the county, they requested to remove it.
And again, just further to say that this is related to the feasibility of the project. It was more important to the city to get the additional 7 housing units, which we do need, and to forego this additional paving. And to Commissioner Jacobs' question, if the city chose to take that on or somehow partner to get that additional paving for those utility cuts, that's something that we could consider. But I don't know that there's, I don't know if that would happen because I'm not aware of what the streets budget looks like and if that's something they would take on or not.
I can tell you that the streets budget will be almost entirely depleted this year due to 2 projects.
There's a big one kicking off.
Be able to be funded.
How does the changes made with the developer, whatever,
Mhm.
with what is the public works director's recommendations? How's that
There was a request for that paving south of Centerline on Kale Street. And again, because it's not in our code, we can't require it. We did include it as a request in the conditions. Typically, if we're trying to include something that's not a code requirement, we have early conversations with the developer to see if they'll agree. There was agreement until, the actual costs were known to provide those improvements. So,
So his comments are prior to this
mhm.
us.
Yes, correct.
to be
That's correct.
discovered.
That's correct. So there was a desire to be able to do all of this, but again, this is 8 lots with frontages on 3 roads. So it is a lot to provide for 8 lots.
And are they required to share with you what the cost differential was?
They're not required to.
Did
No,
they share with you what the cost differential was, why they were pulling back?
we do not have that amount. There was a request. Again, it's not tied to code criteria, and so we left it at that. After conferring with our city attorney, which I did explain as well. And he felt it was in the city's best interest to remove those items. So
It is create more housing.
create more housing, needed housing, yes.
Priority.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Lori,
Yes.
packet, page 12. The top finding,
Just a second. Yes.
you've got all of the provide lots will provide a minimum of 50-foot width in the middle of that first finding.
Yes.
Is it 50 foot or is it 25 foot?
It's 50.
Okay.
You mean because we have some townhome lots? Is that what you're,
They're asking middle of the driveway on the street, it'll share driveways, go from the middle of driveway one way, and is
well, the lot width,
that the 50 or is?
no, if you look on sheet C2 at the top, it's the tentative plat. Each of the lots have 50 feet minimum of width.
Any other comments for staff? Questions for staff? All right, then I think we are ready to move on to the applicant's presentation. Come forward and speak into the mic.
My name is Joe Kessie. I'm with OHM Equity Partners. My address, or does that matter?
City and state would be fine.
Sure. We're at 33470 Chinook Plaza, 213 Scappoose, Oregon 97057.
Mr. Kessie, if you may, please, if you would move the microphone closer so that way
that-
people can hear. Thank
Is that
you.
better? Sure. So what we have here is we have one parcel with a manufactured home on it, 3 big blue outbuildings, a couple of scraggly trees, and a well house that we'd like to turn into 8 lots. When we sat down and we looked at this project, we always sit down and we look at the surrounding neighborhood and what that looks like, and then what we want to do or what we think we could do would look like as well. And so we tried to come up with something where this isn't a lot of land and there's a lot of expense in building this particular project, but we still wanted something that was visibly appealing to the housing across the street. And this particular zone allows us to do high density apartment housing, style housing as well, or manufactured homes. And neither of those match the neighborhood. And so we decided not to do that. And we decided to go with a lower or a different density And we still try to, in doing that, we still have to make our numbers work. And so this is what we were able to come up with, which were 3 attached or 6 housing units, and then a house and the manufactured home on the back of Eastway. I think, with the extension, we actually built Kale Street, this part of Kale Street a few years back. And the addition of that, I think, has really changed the traffic and allowed the neighborhood to the north of this project on North Road to have better accessibility to the highway. So widening the street and finishing it off, I think, will be a big improvement as well. And that's how we came up with the project. I'm smiling, you can't see that, but. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
I have a question. Can you walk us through the style, the architecture of the homes that you're going for? I didn't see a rendering in the packet.
Yeah, I can't because I don't know what that's going to be. Right now, we're just what our company does is we do horizontal construction, which is subdivision. We build street and roads and put stuff underground. So vertical construction is not something we do on a regular basis, and we may or may not build these homes. If we do, it would be something very stylish. I live in the community, so I have a vested interest. But if we don't, I'm sure it will be match similar to the surrounding neighborhood.
So if I'm tracking with you, if you don't build this, then you would just sell this off to a builder?
We would sell it to a local builder, yes. That is our policy.
Let me ask you a question here. Got this letter requesting some things that make some improvements in a sense. That's Dan and Susan Reeves, the fence. What was decided on that? Are you open to doing what they're talking about here?
I've been in contact with them throughout the whole process, and actually Susan's been great. She has been, currently the property's vacant, so she has been our eyes and ears there, help us make sure that it stays vacant and that other things don't start showing up. So yeah, we would love to continue to have a working relationship with them. I don't see any reason why we would not. As far as the ask for a fence, I didn't actually get that out of what she asked for. What I got out of it was that maybe we could talk about it and come up with something that works for everybody, which we're 100% open to. We're not new at this. We do go and talk to all of our neighbors in the surrounding areas before we start construction. They all have my home phone number when we do start construction. And if I get a call, the contractors know it's a bad thing. Oh, I can't say it any plainer than that.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Can you share what the cost differential, what was preventing you to
No.
do the other?
I don't think that's appropriate. I do want to say this. When we also go into a project, especially one in this particular community, because I live here, we try to do as much as we can. And we come out and try to do as much as we can. And then we just have to hit our numbers. So I think that's, in the fact that we said, yeah, we'll do this. And then when we got the numbers, it didn't make sense. And we said, we either have a project or we don't. So this is where we're at. I think that shows that we're willing to go the extra mile.
If you have another builder, understand they be more or less responsible, at least for temporary erosion controls. Is that right? As I understand that, you wouldn't be handling that. You wouldn't be responsible for that, would they? Or would you if you had to build it, of course?
When you open up the question of erosion control, there's a lot of different responsible parties, and it just depends on what stage of the game you're in. So if we were in vertical construction, absolutely, we would be responsible for that. The city has practices and procedures that we would follow. Even in building this particular subdivision, the horizontal part, erosion control is on the plans, and there is a piece of it that we're responsible for and take seriously.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Am I tracking correctly on the plan that the driveways will be gravel?
I doubt it because the city code doesn't allow for that. But what you see here is just, it's a proposal that this is what it could look like. It's not the actual finished product. I don't think those are gravel. I think they're hashed to show as cement or concrete.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I was
we
looking
wouldn't-
at-
No, we wouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I highly
No.
doubt.
Looks like gravel is just to distinguish that.
Well,
mark.
yeah, even when I was reading through and looking at it, I'm like, is that gravel? Like, very confused. So thank you.
So it's a close proximity to the product. Hard representing. I will say that you have projects that have pervious paver driveways.
Huh.
So you could have a segmental block driveway with sand backfill.
Mm.
Although in the detail shows gravel construction entrance. See where somebody,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're looking at the.
It literally said gravel construction is right. That's why I'm like, am I tracking correctly? Like,
Well, you're looking,
Good question.
I guess what, clarify that comment, that you're looking at the grading plan and what they've done is they've combined their some of their erosion control elements on that plan, which is,
just for show drainage, isn't it?
well, no, it's applicable for this plan because it's what they'll have in their, erosion control plan that's to be, have to show gravel. It's only for, not there for, for the,
Right.
it's an E here.
I got you.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there any staff response?
Well, I think we covered everything. I just wanted to let you know that there would be revisions to the staff report. The first one would be a new exhibit number 14, which would be the Reeves and Dietrich comment. I'd like to add that as condition 14, or I'm sorry, exhibit 14. And then revisions to the observations on page 9 by striking out those conditions that the city attorney recommended we go ahead and remove. And then again on the condition of approval pages that contain those conditions. And those are, that's on page 24. I think it's 24, I'm sorry, 25 of the packet. And again, you have that in front of you on this sheet with the highlighting.
Okay, is that all the staff response?
Mhm. Oh, Chris?
Well, I'll just add that this is sort of an unusual project or unit subject to, and that normally try to work out some of the details that we had to discuss tonight in the conditions well before
Mm-hmm.
you get a packet.
Right.
In this case, that just wasn't possible. So, because of all and done in this, all of land use and and those, some of those things were coordinated, like part of the holiday, and then so normally you wouldn't see anything this messy, and we apologize for there, and
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot of conversations that always occur before the staff report's finalized. And yeah, we don't want there to be confusion. But again, this just, I guess, further illustrates why we don't include conditions that aren't tied to approval criteria, unless we have a willing applicant. And in this case, there was some willingness, but it didn't pencil. So again, we feel that the addition of the 7 housing units is the important factor here.
All right.
Chris, can you put the microphone right in front of you? Because it's really hard to hear, and then I'm sure for the purpose of recording this meeting, we can't
Yes.
hear you.
Is that better, Jeanette?
No, not for you, Lori. I'm sorry, for Chris.
Oh, sure.
Okay, with that, I think we are ready to close the hearing and bring the matter for consideration by the commission. Any thoughts?
Well, I think ideally, we would love to have it as the original idea goes, but we know we can't allow for that. So it isn't required. But, and they're trying to work something with a local developer, and it worked, deal with that. I can see where the city is free to advise us and do what they have to do to get it happen. I don't know, can you hear me better? Sorry.
Yeah, you might get it
Pull it
right up
closer.
to your mouth.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
There we go.
I got the mask on too, so. Okay, so, but, I mean, I'm looking at all the points and everything. I haven't found anything that would say can't do it or wouldn't want to do it, so. Does meet all the other criteria, however, everything is approved, so. As long as we accept those conditions of approval. That's kind of where I'm at right now with it.
I
I'll
have a
just say-
question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I have
I
a
was-
question.
I was just going to say that if this is messy to you, that's just how good we have it here. You guys do a good job. I've seen much worse.
I just want to ask, is there a timeline that I missed or that was discussed or that I missed in the paperwork?
A timeline.
Like there for the project?
So the approval is good for a year. So they would need to start construction of the subdivision within a year.
On the vertical, but on the development of the housing, that's totally separate, right? So there's no.
Yeah, that's separate. So what you guys are approving tonight is the tentative subdivision plat.
Mhm.
Once the roads and utilities are in and constructed, the applicant will submit for final plat review. That's a staff level review. We just make sure all the conditions have been met. And then we sign off on the plat. The plat gets recorded. That's what creates the legal lots. Once the lots are created, they could sit there forever if they wanted to. But I think we all know that housing is in short supply in the city. And I would imagine that those finished lots would sell quite quickly.
Yes, eager to have
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
housing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Will say it would improve the community there.
Question regarding this. So I am tracking and understand that this is tentative. We have to go to a building. After the plots are there, then there's a whole design piece that occurs, correct?
Right.
Okay.
It's like
Can,
one.
if if Mr. Kessie's business decides to sell it to a developer versus developing it themselves,
Mhm.
how much leeway do they have in changing the layout? Meaning, we have house, garage, garage, house. Can that configuration be changed?
So the only thing that the tentative plan, plat is doing is establishing the lot lines. Where the houses go, where they're joined, things like that that's not approved by this action. So he's showing a shadow kind of where the houses would be located.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that way. However, these lots are the size of the internal lots, those three in the middle. I'm sorry, those six in the middle are set up to be attached at the 0 lot line. That's the size of the lot. That's what it will support. So it would be
Right.
some sort of attached housing on those internal lots.
Okay. Could they turn those 2 homes into 4 and actually make it a duplex?
Square footage would not support it. A duplex, it means it's on its own lot. So 2 units on 1 lot.
Mhm.
This will support 1 townhome on each lot.
Thank you.
None of the lots would support a duplex on its own.
I think it's a good use of a small piece of land.
Mhm.
So, I don't have any other comment.
All right. There's no other comments, then it's probably time to entertain a motion.
How many changes did you make? I can't remember.
There were-
changes on 8 and 9 and of conditions, and then you're gonna change some wording in the rest of that. but-
Yeah, we were adding the public comment as
And the
exhibit
public
14.
comment. So I'd make a motion that we would approve that, Chairman, with those things that she just said, because I think I couldn't repeat it all.
Revised conditions 8 and 9.
Yeah.
An addition of exhibit 14.
Yep. So Bruce moves for, I'm assuming approval.
Mm-hmm.
Approval of docket SB 1-21 with the exhibit 14 added, the email that was sent on January 11, and with the changes as provided
2 conditions 8 and 9.
to conditions 8 and 9.
Thank you.
Good at that, exhibit 14.
He said that.
Oh, Bill, did you second that?
I will second that.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? All right. That is approved. Congratulations.
The weather gets better for you.
Yeah,
Huh.
it'll stop raining.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, looks like next is the calendar check. And let's see what's on the calendar. City offices will be closed next Monday, the 17th, for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. On Thursday, the 20th, the Economic Development Committee is meeting at noon. And the Parks and Rec Committee meets at 6 same day. Bill Planning Commission on the 27th. Moving to February, February 7, there's a city council work session and council meeting. Are we having a planning commission meeting on the 10th?
We are not, and I don't know if we'll have one the 24th either, but that's pending.
All right. Thursday, the 17th, Parks and Rec Committee meets at 6 p.m. City offices are closed on Monday, the 21st for President's Day. And Thursday, the 24th of February, the Economic Development Committee meets at noon, possibly Planning Commission at 7.
Missed one. You missed one.
Did I miss?
14, Valentine's Day.
Yes. Any commissioner comments?
Thank you, staff, for a very nice report.
Right.
Appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time, walking me through my questions
Of
this evening.
course.
Appreciate it.
Echo that.
You're welcome.
All right. Seeing, any,
See a face.
oh, do you want to make a comment?
No, I just wanted to say goodbye
Say
or we're closing, but it's huge, so that's why I shrunk myself in the meeting.
Any staff comments?
Yeah, I did want to let you all know that we did just kick off the housing needs analysis update. We also just kicked off the 50-year plan. And so we are still coming up with sort of ideas about forming the technical advisory committees for each of those. We definitely will want some planning commissioners to sit on those two committees, trying to figure out though, like kind of how many people will serve. One thing to be aware of for the 50-year plan project, if you are interested, and I again haven't figured out how we're going to decide who participates, because there may be multiple who would really like to be doing that with your official capacity of planning commissioner hat on. I'll let you know here real soon how we're going to do that, but it would be for pretty much a 3+ year commitment. It looks like there's about 14 technical advisory committee meetings that will be held for this plan. It also will have 5 open houses. The first one being the annual town meeting this year. The date hasn't quite been set, but I'm thinking it'll be probably early to mid-March. We're trying to avoid going to the end of March because I think that's when spring break is. And then I believe the housing needs analysis committee will have like 4 meetings or so, so not quite as many. So just be watching for information coming out on that, and that's going to be a good process. It's a huge scope of work, and should result in some great changes for the city.
I hear you say 3 years.
3 years.
Okay, so we start with somebody really younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Laura,
might
you
be
said
young
3
enough.
years and 14 meetings, so that's basically like 4 a year? 4
Mhm.
meetings a year? Okay.
Yeah,
And are
yeah.
you going to be is people going to be volunteering, or you guys are going to choose, you staff?
I don't know what the best process for that's going to be. I would assume you guys would decide, like I would say how many planning commissioners we're looking for. You guys maybe decide who's interested and then vote on who's going to participate. I would assume we would do something like that. That being said, just out of curiosity, how many of you are interested in sitting on the 50-year committee?
I definitely am.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So we've got
I
3.
might not live that long.
No, it's fine, because I mean, honestly, I was thinking probably two planning commissioners would suffice. Obviously you can come as a citizen to any of and
Don't let it
to
fool ya.
all the open houses and all the meetings. Okay, well, that helps.
We can
I
still
just-
show up at the town meetings and
Well, and you
Right.
could show up to the technical advisory committee meetings.
We're still crawling around.
we can troll the other.
And then there would be an opportunity, Commissioner Santiago, as well, for, we will be looking for participants from the Economic Development Committee. So you have a few different opportunities there. So again, more information will be forthcoming soon. But keep that in mind. It'll be a good process. It kicks off with a community visioning piece that will kind of present at the annual town meeting. Chris, did you have anything?
I'll just mention a couple of new things, of notable items. Old Portland Road. Everybody's familiar with that, from the highway down to Dutch Canyon Road. The city is, contracted with, a company to build sidewalks and pave. So you'll see that work start next week. It'll take probably 2 to 3 months to get it complete. And then,
How far will that go?
from the highway south to Dutch Canyon,
All the way, the whole.
the whole stretch, it'll all be infill, paving and sidewalk, and everything that goes with that. So catch basins and side, mailboxes will get moved around, power poles will get adjusted.
Or bike lane in there,
Is there what?
a bike lane in there?
The sidewalk?
We don't have any striping in the package. That's not to say that it couldn't happen in the future. It's sort of set up to have that.
Yeah.
We just don't have any striping in it. We basically broke the bank trying to fund that. We didn't want to do it in a piecemeal fashion, so we're at our absolute last dollar to get that done.
Street lighting.
It has lighting now, so I don't think we're going to make any adjustments.
Hey, Chris, when did you say this project is gonna happen?
Well, it kicks off next week. They'll be
Oh.
they'll be mobbing in and setting up and things. You'll probably see some real activity the following week. It'll take them a little while to get things staged.
Will they be working during rush hour?
They can work from 7 to gosh, I forget the work hours. 7 to 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Is it that?
During
I
the
think it's
week?
7 to 7. I don't think it's that late. I think it's 7 to 7. I think they'll probably just work a normal schedule, 7 to 5, or even a little bit.
Yeah, it's just that
earlier.
I don't commute, but lately, but I know that when I do go out there during the rush hour, Highway 30 is packed like a parking lot. So I can imagine having that access to Old Portland Road, not having this. Are people going to still be able to go through that road, or they're going to?
Oh yeah,
close it down?
there'll be one lane open at all times.
Okay.
And it won't always have even one lane restricted, so at
Okay.
times. So the sidewalk work won't involve taking a lane down, I don't think so. 'Cause there's
All right.
plenty of width there.
Okay.
So, and contractors usually don't work right up till 5 anyway. They usually shut down around 4 and kind of clean up, so. And then, there was some paving on East Columbia Avenue to take care of the sewer line, the new sewer trunk line. It's just a first lift. There'll be a final lift from Miller all the way down to the treatment plant. That'll happen later when we have much better weather. But this sort of cleans it up so it's much more drivable. I haven't been on it yet, but I hear it's looking better.
Yeah.
And then there's continuing work at East Airport. It's not something you're going to notice because it's way out in the middle of nowhere. But they're putting utilities in the ground, and that's going well. And then OMIC is continuing to do their underground work on their existing building and soon to start on underground for a new building. Won't see anything vertical on the new building for probably a few months, but the site will be set up.
Probably more of a summer project.
Probably more of a summer project. Yeah.
One other exciting piece of information that you would like to hear about, I'm sure, is that we did receive a land use application for our first food cart permit. Food cart pod permit. So they're proposing spaces for 11 food carts, permanent connections with utilities and everything to each cart pad, and a tap house with a tap house. So indoor seating, also covered outdoor seating. So this is new code language. First time we're applying it. I've found a few little, dents in the car. So nothing we can't work around. So that's good. But it is a very exciting project. And so we're just wrapping up our completeness comments on the first review of that submittal. It was a pretty strong submittal. So hopefully they can work through. We'll deem it incomplete. There were a few things to address, but not a ton.
Previously experienced.
Where?
They're doing this.
Yes, actually, they own another food cart, or a number of food carts in St. Helens, kind of behind the bowling alley.
Yeah.
So their experience, they've been in the business for a while as far as doing this. So, but it's a nice looking development.
Where?
If you know where Old Portland Road meets Highway 30, where the totem pole is, it's
Yeah.
just to the west of that. There's some big, tall arborvitaes and a brick house there.
Oh, yeah.
They would take all that out and it would go there.
Ooh,
It's a great location, yeah.
that would be great.
So it's exciting. We might have new
That
food
is
options.
exciting. It's exciting. We need something like that over here.
They're
so.
also proposing some outdoor fire pits and seating areas. So yeah,
Handle that next 3 years.
yeah, there you go. So I look forward to bringing that to you for approval here in a few months. And that's it.
All right. With that, that's the end of our agenda. So at 8:06, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.